Urbanization was a big part of the Industrial Revolution. Urbanization is the movement of people to cities. Many working people suffered with dangerous working conditions, including unsafe, unsanitary, and overcrowded housing, as well as extreme poverty. Enclosure of open fields into compact farms displaced many small farming families who then often moved to towns to find work in factories and workshops. In the mid-1700s, more than half of the population in Britain lived and worked on farms. Changes in farming, soaring population growth, and an ever-increasing demand for workers led masses of people to migrate from farms to cities. Almost overnight, small towns around coal and iron mines mushroomed into cities. Other cities grew around factories that were built by entrepreneurs in once quiet market towns. As industry grew, more people moved into urban areas, which created huge population increases in the cities. In 1750, 8 out of every 10 English people lived in the country, and by 1850, 5 out of every 10 English people lived in the country. Between 1750 through 1851, the population increased dramatically. One example of this is the British market town of Manchester. Its population went from 17,000 in the 1750s to 40,000 in 1780. Another 20 years later, its population jumped to 70,000. In 1842, a farmer in a rural area could expect to live 38 years, and a worker in a city could expect to live only 17 years. Industrialized nations' average life expectancies more than doubled, as well as increased average incomes.
Extremely hard work combined with the harsh living conditions of the workers in the cities led to much shorter life expectancy for city dwellers. Factory owners built workers' housing, which was dark, poorly constructed, and badly ventilated. Houses were built back to back in long rows, and people lived in cramped conditions. Poor families had only a basement or an outhouse to sleep in, and orphans and unemployed were forced to live on the streets. 20 families had to share one toilet and water pump. Without proper sewer or trash collection, garbage littered the streets, so diseases like typhoid, measles, and cholera spread quickly. Crime was also a persistent problem since there was no official police force. In industrialized cities, visitors described a cloud of coal vapor that polluted the air, the pounding of steam engines, and the filthy stench of its river. The growth of industry dramatically changed location and distribution of labor and people.
Industrialization also altered the basic layout of European cities. Urban renewal was the rebuilding of the poor areas of the city. This took place in Paris in the 1850s. The rich lived in the outskirts of the city, while poor crowded into slums near the city center. Slums were small, cramped row houses or tenements in overcrowded neighborhoods. Conditions had somewhat improved from the early Industrial Revolution, but slums remained a fact of city life.
By 2008, for the first time in human history, more people in the world lived in cities than in rural areas. The same 250-year-old process has also resulted in modern technological innovations that generations of people have grown accustomed to, such as steam engines, railroads, cars, modern appliances, and computers. Average life expectancy has more than doubled in industrialized nations, while average incomes have increased even more. On the other hand, industrialization has not spread wealth evenly across the globe, and the consequences have often been unjust. For example, in 2010, in developing countries where 85% of people in the world live, 16,000 children die every day from hunger-related problems. As of 2006, 10% of the world's wealthiest people controlled 85% of the world's wealth. The wealthiest countries in the world today are those that industrialized first.